CMCSS School Board Study Session, May 5th, coming to order. Item number 1 on the agenda, surplus property, safety and health, first read.
Board, according to Administrative Policy INV A002, all surplus property shall be presented to the Board of Education to declare it surplus and authorize disposal if deemed appropriate. Tonight's request was made by our Safety and Health Director about an ice maker from a nursing clinic that was deemed unfixable and replaced. He is asking for it to be declared as surplus to be properly disposed.
Item number 2, 2026-2027 Student Code of Conduct updates, first read.
Vice Chairman Bryant, Chairman Lanier, Dr. Linovetter. Tonight I want to take just a couple brief moments to share with you some proposed changes for the 26-27 Student Code of Conduct. Within your packet, you should have received a one-page outlining of the Student Code of Conduct, the PowerPoint presentation, as well as a revised version of the Student Code of Conduct. Looking forward to the 26-27 Student Code of Conduct, one area that I'd like to draw your attention to again this year is the process through which we go through to make sure that we are tapping into all of our stakeholders to present, to gather as much information as we possibly can for proposed changes for the Student Code of Conduct. As you can see by the screen in front of you, November 14th, we started with our department chairs, sharing out and asking for any updated changes that needed to take place for the coming year. December 4th, we sent out a survey to principals and assistant principals. Also, January 5th through February 15th, we sent out community-wide to all stakeholders a survey for to receive feedback for the coming year for the Student Code of Conduct. The 26th, we had the high school student advisory meeting. On March 26, elementary teacher communication group. April 13th, level directors. April 22nd through the 27th, we then gave those proposed changes back out to our principals and assistant principals for review. On the 23rd of April, we met with middle and high school teacher communication group. April 27th, went over the proposal with the senior leadership team, which brings us here together tonight. Looking at proposed Category 1 changes, there are just a couple of recommendations within the Category 1 tardiness. The recommendation is there in red, which we would look to revise the portion that says a parent is contacted, email, text, or phone call after the second offense. A discipline referral is submitted upon the third and any subsequent offenses. For the purpose of disciplinary consequences, tardiness resets at the beginning of each semester. And that is an update, just advising families as a reminder that it is updated each semester. Proposed Category 2 changes under cell phones and electronic devices. Nothing is changing within that was proposed last year or that went into effect last year. However, with advancing technology, we are having to take a look at other electronic devices in the way of wearable eyewear that does access internet, that does film and record. So you'll see that there's quite an extensive update here that is in addition to what we've had in the past or that we implemented last year. The explanation expands to read, use of cell phones and other personal electronic devices during the instructional day is prohibited. Students will be expected to turn their phones and any other personal electronic devices off or put them on silent and out of sight for the entire instructional day. Students are prohibited from the use of their phones or personal electronic devices during the instructional day. This is the new portion here. To protect student and staff privacy, maintain instructional integrity and assessment security, and to ensure compliance with FERPA and applicable Tennessee law, students are prohibited from unauthorized audio or video recording and photography during the instructional day. Electronic devices include but are not limited to all existing and emerging technology devices that can take photographs, record, or play audio or video, input text, upload and download media, connect or receive information from the internet, and transmit or receive messages, telephone calls, or images. Examples include, but are not limited to smart devices, watches, tablets, glasses, headphones, earbuds, gaming systems, audio and visual, video recording devices. The new part, the expanded part, any eyewear or wearable device containing electronic components capable of audio or video recording, live streaming, wireless communication, internet connectivity, artificial intelligence assistance, or display of digital content, whether or not the device contains prescription lenses, are prohibited during the instructional day. And use of the devices or on any national, state, or local assessment may be considered cheating, constituting an additional offense under cheating, plagiarism, and forgery, unapproved use of artificial intelligence. Another change in Category 2 that was recommended by administration was to move profane language used in remarks to an adult from a Category 2 offense to a Category 3 offense. Further explanation was developed for Category 2 offense skipping or leaving class without permission to read willfully refusing to attend and participate in the assigned classroom and or leaving classroom without permission, being out of the assigned area or location without approval, or remaining in an approved location beyond a reasonable or designated amount of time without authorization from the person in charge. A new Category 2 offense was brought to our attention. A need was brought to our attention to help with administrators being able to classify appropriately and to address behavior as inappropriate physical contact. Under Category 2, this is a minor offense with the same required parent-guardian contact. Range of consequences are the same for Category 2. Also, the explanation for this offense is engaging in non-aggressive, unwanted physical contact with another student that is momentary in nature, does not result in injury, and does not significantly disrupt the learning environment. Proposed Category 3 changes. Under encouraging, promoting, and urging and furthering fights, the addition of the word instigating and an update to the explanation, initiating, provoking, encouraging, or contributing to a fight through words, actions, or conduct. This includes taunting, inciting conflict, or recording, broadcasting, or posting fights in a manner that promotes or escalates the incidents. Again, this is to help our administrators be able to better monitor and better address students who do not want to just move away when an incident takes place, but who by their presence alone helps to encourage and promote fighting. Under vandalism, under Category 3, change is proposed to add student, parent, guardian are responsible for restitution for damages. And under explanation, adding the words or guardians to make sure that it's consistent with the way that it reads in the upper portion. As the Category 2 offense, inappropriate physical contact minor, under Category 3, we wanted to add inappropriate physical contact. This would allow for addressing behavior that is slightly more aggressive than the Category 2. You'll read in the explanation, engaging in intentional or repeated physical contact with another individual, student, faculty, or staff that is unwanted, disruptive, or violates personal boundaries, including any physical activity directed towards staff, but does not rise to the level of fighting or assault. There's a lot of gray area there that was left previously to violation of school rules. We just defined it better for our administrators to be able to address it with our students and with our families. Category 4 proposed changes, just a couple here. Category 4 offenses have two possible range of consequences. The first is the choice of a remandment to alternative school for either 30 or 90 days. This allows the administrator more discretion to ensure that consequences appropriately address the behavior. The second range of consequences is a 90-day remandment to alternative school. These are offenses like activating a fire alarm where the maximum consequence is the only option. So that 90 days is the only option. So the arrows there indicate that 30 or 90 days on some of the offenses, and some of them will be 90 days only. The other addition to Category 4 comes under confer with level directors. We've put this with each of the Category 4 offenses. We want to make sure that our admitted buildings are speaking with the level directors in what they're referring so that we can help maintain that consistency throughout the district. And finally, down there at the bottom, you'll see our standard OC 23 or our standard state code, and we have put the state, what the state offense code and the verbiage as it goes along with this. This helps our administrators as they are putting these and entering these into Power School so that they align with the state codes. Under category 4, weapons and dangerous instruments, only one quick change there, folks. We added 3D printed weapons as well. With the advancement of technology, this has actually become a thing this year to make sure that we are addressing the development in bringing in of 3D printed weapons. Proposed bus and zero tolerance changes. Out-of-school suspension will only apply to the major offense of fighting on the school bus. The other major bus offenses will be handled by suspension of bus privileges or removal of bus privileges for extended periods of time. This was kind of an oversight in the 25-26, where each of the major offenses had received the same descriptor as the fighting. But now we just want to make sure that fighting is the one where the principal has the discretion to suspend a student as well as remove them from transportation or remove them for a period of time from their transportation privileges. Zero tolerance offenses, confer with level directors. We have that now stated on each one, and also that there is the code is actually written out for easy access for administrators to be able to see. And that concludes proposed changes for the 26-27 Student Code of Conduct. Are there any questions?
I don't see any. Thank you. Item number 3, June 26, budget amendments, first read.
Good evening, Board. Just kind of get over here. Just go for our year-end budget amendments we have. Starting in revenues, under state revenues, we increased that by just under $519,000 for the Tennessee paid parental leave for our teachers, as well as $9,000 under other direct federal revenues for the junior solar sprint grant, excuse me. Starting with our expenditures, a lot of these are just payroll and benefit projection increases. As you can see under regular instruction, $2,734 and $298 for that, as well as $6,450 under supplies and materials for e-textbooks for the middle college. Once again, under alternative school, increases for payroll and benefit projections. And then under special education, an increase for payroll and benefits, as well as for the pre-K entitlement grant, just to get those matched up to what we have in E-Plan, as well as an increase in supplies and materials for $16,082 in regards to the pre-K entitlement grant. Moving on to vocational education, that's $73,000. It was moved to align with the Innovative School Models Grant to match E-Plan. That was moved over to $72,230 for vocational educational support. Under health services, once again, an increase for our payroll and benefit projections. And the $2,791, that was moved over from $72,520 function human resources to cover just professional development costs for coordinated school health and health services. Moving on to other student support, part of those funds, the $1,000 went towards the Junior Solar Sprint Grant for contracted services, and the remainder over at supplies and materials. And then we had to make a correction to the December amendment we had for the STEM supplies and for early learning supplies for elementary. And then $15,000 increase, once again, for that correction from the December amendment. Moving on to regular instruction support. Part of this was for the camp invention supplies and materials, just to move to the new program code and to correct the object code. And then once again, a correction to our December amendment. Some of those funds for the camp invention moved from contracted services over to supplies and materials. $14,000, that was just to provide additional safety equipment and camera upgrades for our schools, as well as moving funds for tuition and fees for the pipeline program. And once again, a correction to that one amendment. And then under alternative school support, payroll and benefit projection increases. Special education support, the highlights are the increase in the sped travel costs, not only just because of the increased number of people attending, but just the increase in cost itself. And then decreased by $5,000 for, we move those funds for PCG services. Under vocational education support, once again, where I mentioned the $73,000, that's where it got moved from the innovative school model grant, as well as the payroll and benefit projections. And then under technology, just moving $52,000 out of supplies and materials over to equipment, just for to cover the increased prices for items like our HR badge printer and other hardware that we use through technology. And then lastly, an increase of $262,400 for just uninsured losses. Go to my notes real quick on that. That's just mainly invoices written off and other items that we have under there as far as claims go. And then the last page is just benefits projections increases for all three of those departments. And then under human resources, the biggest share of that $161,000 is for the personal leave buyback, and as well as payroll and benefit projections, and then a decrease of the $2,791 where we moved that to the other function that I mentioned earlier. And on maintenance of plant, an increase just basically due to cost of materials needed in there for lubricant, antifreeze, and tires of $9,445. Another increase for benefits, and that is all for GP. Overall, a decrease of $21,508. Moving on to nutrition, had an increase of $9,014 in revenues just for state matching funds that were awarded for FY26. And the only adjustment we have is just additional costs for vehicle maintenance, mainly for lubricants for supplies and materials. Transportation, the only adjustment we have is just payroll and benefits reconciliation, a decrease of $310 in salaries, an increase of $1,510 in benefits. We had to make this one, what you received yesterday did not include this. We didn't get the summer allocations from the state until yesterday, and Kimmy worked hard to get us this information. The only adjustment was we moved $1,200 out of supplies and materials under regular instruction and moved that over to the other student support. That's just to cover the SROs for this summer. And then lastly, our amendments for our federal projects, just reallocation of funds for consolidated admin, Title I, Title IX, Title III, and IDEA, and then increase in revenues and expenditures for Title II and Title IV. Y'all have any questions?
Chris?
So, uninsured losses, somebody didn't pay us?
Hold on just a second, I'm getting back to that page. That mainly is potential liability claims. If we have any costs for OJI or anything like that, we've added money just in case we have to pay that before the end of the fiscal year, as well as for, like I said earlier, we had items that we have to write off that extend beyond 2 years.
Okay.
Other questions? Think we're good?
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4, County Commissioners' comments. And board members? Mr. Garland?
Yeah, excuse me. Dr. Lund, I have a question concerning what was talked about when we were talking about students, the students. If a child is intimidated to the point where they can't take it no more, how is that handled in our code?
So there's a variety of ways. First, it would be checked to see if it were something like bullying, which has its own separate process. Otherwise, we do have some categories within there that's basically other conduct. So if students are basically taunting, teasing, if it's something that is not specifically stated, we still have a variety of things that we can put as other conduct and still receive discipline.
Well, I asked the question because I had a couple of parents that contact me and stated that their child got suspended because they defended themselves from a child that was bullying them. Maybe the teacher didn't see it, maybe it wasn't on tape, I don't know what it was, but I think that is something that we really need to be very conscious of. And the last thing, I want everybody to understand that I was down in Nashville at a rally today. This is not political, this is serious. Right now, it's impossible for a person of color to actually claim that we are being discriminated against because of redistricting. And it don't make no sense. Yes, I know what you're going to say. I know that you don't want to hear this, but the bottom line, we need to hear it because it's happening, and I believe that it's going to happen in Tennessee. Right now, it's happening in Nashville. That's why I was down there and not walking around looking at my polls. That was more important to me than whether or not I'm going to be reelected for the next 4 years. We as people, as Tennesseans, we have a responsibility to make sure that anyone that we send to any office, they're there for the people. And when I say the people, that includes all of the people. And we do have politicians that are not in office to support all of the people, just like we have school board members that are not here to support every student. They're here to support a party. But I assure you that, that we will get through this as a nation, as a county, as a state, as people. But it's going to take all of us to make sure that we get this right. It got to be gotten. It got to get right. And I don't know why I'm saying this right now, but it touched me so much to see all of those people down in Nashville that's talking black, white, brown, all colors, nationalities. That's what Tennessee looks like, and that's what we need to be perpetuating here as board members when we're talking about our students. And I asked that question, Dr. Luna, simply because I've had several parents that say that their students fell into that under those conditions, but yet and still their child was expelled. But the person that was doing the taunting, nothing happened to them. I just asked a question for that reason. Thank you.
As always, send me any specifics and we'll dig into it.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else? All right, Dr. Luna Vetter.
Good evening, board members. I want to begin by thanking the county commissioners from the Budget Committee who met with us today to advance our school system budget to the full county commission next month. I never want to take for granted the collaborative relationship that we have established to ensure we're meeting the needs of the school system while remaining cognizant of budget constraints for the county. I greatly value the meaningful conversations and thinking outside the box collaborations that we have held to maximize resources while minimizing the funding. In honor of Teacher Appreciation Week, I would like to take a moment to recognize all educators in CMCSS who invest in our students every day. Research has shown that teachers in the classroom matter more to student achievement than any other aspect of schooling. Education is often a profession that receives intense public scrutiny without nearly enough compensation or appreciation. I would encourage everyone to reach out to teachers this week to thank them for their dedication to students. Vice Chair Bryant, this concludes my report for tonight.
That concludes our meeting.